There's a hardcore champion in the back that wants to take you one-on-one, and I gave him the money. Yeah. I'll make a deal. You beat him one-on-one, you get me one-on-one tonight.
You're a pussy.
Yeah. I'm a pussy?
He's not a pussy!
For 5 months, I've been training. I didn't train to... Yeah. And you know what? I trained to wrestle. I didn't train to staple your head, staple your ass, slice you up and dice you. I learned to wrestle. So if you're such a man and you want to face him one-on-one, you want to face him, no weapons. No weapons. No weapons. You want, come on, are you that? You have to be lying at that much. No weapons. Are you a pussy? What's the matter? Somebody will finally train you to wrestle you? No weapons. Look out his opponent.
I don't think anybody will go with it though. You don't know it.
Former WCW Hardcore Champion, Norman
Celebrating the 15-year anniversary from yesterday. Yeah, he came out to Biggie Smalls, believe it or not, everybody. This is the very, very extremely condensed version from yesterday. It's only about 7-8 minutes long, but this is footage that you never saw before, never been released online. Just celebrating 15 years. This happened 15 years ago yesterday, by the way. The ultimate Don Tony wrestle crap.
You ruined everything for me!
See this shit? They're trying to kill me as I'm getting out of here. You alright, Brother Lou? Yo, I don't know what the hell you two are thinking about. And the Blassie, you fucking idiot. You need to stay the hell out of the ring right now. Alright?
Havoc is not here. He is at the Bear right now. I have it on good word. And whose good word is that? And the Blassie running for his life
running
here.
Like a schoolgirl.
And now they're choking him into the corner. Danny Demento in control here on Louis Ramos. Bicep Bravado in control here on Monster Mac. And he's going for the cannonball in the corner, Casey Blade.
Oh my God!
What a move!
But the crowd
might have
seemed to value that move.
That might have taken the energy out of Bicep Bravado.
As he hit the wall.
Remember-
It looked like he hit a wall
Remember, Bravado was injured early on in this match,
with his left arm.
and it's taken a toll here. He might have hurt himself more
Let's clean
by
it up.
dishing out the punishment here.
Yes, absolutely. Very eloquently said, Mr. Gentry. What the hell was that?
Did he just pour salt in the wounds of Louis Ramos?
He just put Ajax in his face.
Oh,
On the wounds.
I can't.
That is Ajax. That's blue.
Uh-oh. And Demento's got Ramos on the outside setting up for
Oh my
something.
God, what are we gonna see here?
Oh,
folks?
no.
Pigs, when pigs fly!
This does not bode well for both individuals here. Oh, my God, he landed on his head.
He landed on his head.
And the fans are calling it correctly here. Holy shit.
He's lucky that those cheap thin mats that Goodman provides for the wrestlers on the wood hard floor barely protected his head, but it could have saved his life maybe.
And it looks like both Bison Bravado and Monster Mac, they're the only two men left standing here.
Those people look like they're unconscious.
And DeBlasi running around like a schoolgirl, like you said
Think
earlier.
about it, the weight between both individuals, the impact of how they hit the ground, it was scary to say the least. Bison, it has to be over, folks.
That
Wait
clothesline
a sec.
came all the way from Compton. He's setting up. Is he going to come off with a frog
Wait a
splash?
sec. These two guys are back up. I don't believe it.
What intestinal fortitude here. Uh-oh. This is going to be a rough landing
He
here.
wants the people up.
This is not bode well for Bison.
Oh! It's over. 1, 2, 3. Put it in the books.
And thankfully, this match is over. Here are winners.
And still tag team champions.
Low Life Louie and Monster Mac.
Unbelievable matchup. Unbelievable guts.
Oh! And Louis Ramos finally getting his hands on Anthony DeBlasi.
That cannoli swinging freak. But wait a sec. We have a table still in play.
What does he have there? No, he's not. No, I don't think this is gonna happen.
I don't know, folks, but it looks pretty serious.
Oh!
He broke a bottle on his head. I thought he was gonna set the table on fire. Louis cutting his hand from. You saw that? He wanted to hurt DeBlasi so much that he cut his own hand with the bottle. I don't believe it.
Oh, he's still got that table. I've seen a lot here tonight. What else are we gonna see here? That Low Life Louie.
Top tag!
Oh no! I gotta stand for this one.
Stand for this one here, folks. What is gonna happen here?
Oh no!
It looks like he's gonna get his. All that talking.
Oh no! And Louis Ramos has him set up on that table. Oh no! Elbow! Oh!
Goodness!
Abdul, the butcher leg elbow drop on the table, on the thumbtacks. Anthony DeBlasi is
Look
dead.
at all the thumbtacks on them, folks. Gentry, have you ever seen such a sight?
What a display!
What is this? Trent Acid has hit the ring.
Trent Acid in a Rasta hat. It's hot enough in this building. Take that hat off. My God.
Trent Acid looks like he hasn't seen the beach in months. What happened to Trent?
These guys, remember, they're Team Philly here.
Team Philadelphia in full effect.
I'm gonna go sit down. It's too
He's
hot.
smoking a cigarette. Wait a sec. That's familiar.
Similar to what you people are to me. I am your heavyweight champion, and you should show me some respect.
I don't see people showing him any respect. He's right.
Look at DeBlasi.
Oh my God.
Look at all the thumbtacks on his back. Oh, that's terrible. Too bad the cameraman's not positioning on that. Where'd the hard cameraman go?
I don't know. He must not be doing his job.
It's Friday night. That means it's time for The Don Tony Show.
You've waited all week, and now it's finally here. Get Don Tony's perspective on current affairs in the world of pro wrestling and beyond.
And now, your host, the man, the legend, Don Tony. Don Tony. Don Tony. Don Tony.
Good evening, everybody. It is July 30th. Wow, July is over. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. Thank you for sharing that Don Tony abbreviated. That's the ultimate Don Tony wrestle crap. That happened 15 years ago yesterday. First time last night that I watched that since it went down. And believe it or not, it goes on for 30 minutes. You got the condensed version today. I tell you, great memories. And, you know, I can't express enough the message that I've been trying to put across for the last year and a half. It's not a popular one. It's not popular. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. If you get opportunities, take them. Take them. You might not succeed. You might not do well. You may fail more times than you succeed. But you never want to look back and say to yourself, man, I had an opportunity to do this and I didn't go for it. Go for it. I sucked back then. That was before I ever went to wrestling school. That was before I ever did anything. But you know what? I went out and did it. I had a blast. I can't thank the Mass Maniac enough. Lowlife Louie in that clip, Danny DeMonto, Bison Bravado, Steve Mack, and the list goes on and on. You didn't even see the match with Louie versus Norman Smiley with Daphne and yours truly in his corner. You didn't even see my wrestle crap. Tune in to last night's show if you want to watch it in its entirety. I might condense it a little bit further so we could replay it on the other shows next week. Oh boy, do the haters hate that. Boy, do they hate that. But I had so much fun, and there's other footage that I have yet to release, never before seen online. Smackdown just went off the air. Just to let you know, yours truly is a little under the weather today. Last night I went out to dinner with a whole bunch of my childhood friends. Haven't seen some of these guys in 20 years. There were a couple of no-shows yesterday. If you were on my Twitter, you saw an empty room because I was the first to show up. And I kind of started having flashbacks to the movie Goodfellas, hoping that it wasn't a setup. But I literally ate and raced here last night to do the show for everyone. I got very little sleep, and today I don't feel well at all. My fiance's freaking out inside. She thinks I got COVID because I was around all these people yesterday, and now I feel like crap today. So, yeah, I'm sitting at the end of it. Yeah, I'm not at the head of the table. Nobody, actually, if you really think about it, nobody was the head of the table. See, when you have family, everybody sits at the table equally. Just like the Donzilla Army, just like La Famiglia, every one of you out there, we all sit at the table equally. There's no head at the table. Man, it's been an interesting 24 hours. And, you know, it's cute. It's cute. It's so goddamn cute. I can't resist from saying this. You had all of these blue check marks tonight, podcasters, websites, all saying, I'm calling it now. I'm calling it now. You heard it first. Sasha Banks is going to turn on Bianca Belair. You heard it here first. We've been talking about that shit since Bayley even before the goddamn injury. Sasha Banks was going to return. She has to turn on Bianca Belair and have the match at SummerSlam. How many weeks have we discussed this? And I'm looking at all these people tonight. Oh, how cute. Yeah, and the best part, they write back, told you. That's not an upside down jerking off. That's us planting seeds. Planted seeds from Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez to Sasha Banks. And I think Nia Jax is going to be the one to take the 24/7 title for Reginald. It's not that hard. Did you see all the goofs tonight with premature ejaculation? Balor versus Corbin at SummerSlam? These motherfuckers just for 2 weeks told you all that someone isn't buried after one match. Balor doesn't sign the contract tonight because Balor versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam makes no sense. Never made sense. But because, you know what? What we've been saying for a couple of weeks, tonight proved it. Tonight proved it. These people on social media every week do premature ejaculation. They never sit back as wrestling fans and let stories play out. Karrion Kross loses in his Raw debut. Immediate triggered, immediate anger. Fuck you, Vince. I hope you die. And blah, 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 blah. You don't let it play out. I look like Too Cold Scorpio. Never let it play out. Tonight, they advertise a contract signing between Finn Balor and Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. And right away, all the jerk-offs tonight, thinking that match is actually going to go down. Thinking that it's going to go down. Why would that go down? 70, 80,000 people, Cena is back. Let me prove to you right now how moronic everybody was online tonight. I'm not saying any of you, but I'm going to say something right now that will prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, how stupid these people are. They're either that stupid or this is how desperate they are for attention. You ready for this? Are you ready for this? The summer of Cena, if you looked at the 16 dates that Cena is advertised for, it ends at SummerSlam. So if Roman Reigns takes on Balor at SummerSlam, why is Cena back? Why is Cena working 16 shows? Because he's got a couple of weeks free on his schedule? No, stupids. They did six-man tag with John Cena on one side and Roman Reigns on the other the last 2 weeks. Why? They're practicing for their SummerSlam match. Nobody takes a step back and say, well, why are they going to have Balor and Roman Reigns? Cena is back and he's leaving again after SummerSlam. That makes no sense. But nope. Tweet, 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 tweet. And they got it wrong again. Because they can't just sit back as a wrestling fan and watch the whole show. We talked about this the other day also. If you could summarize WWE like this for decades, it's never about an individual match. It's about a story. WWE is a story, plain and simple. And in their mentality, wrestlers lose not because somebody is getting buried, not because somebody is getting pushed, but because it makes the story easier to tell. Why is Sheamus losing a non-title match? Why is he losing a non-title? Because for decades, they do that to now make it seem like Damian Priest is worthy of a title shot. The Mysterios beat Ziggler and Roode back in the day. They were the tag champs. They wanted to make it seem like they were worthy. The Street Profits beat Zood and Ziggler. Roode and Ziggler. Why? So they feel worthy of the titles. That's why you got the four-way back then. That's how it goes. It's story. It's story. Soon as they heard Balor and Reigns at SummerSlam, they actually either bought it, hook, line, and sinker, or they just need to get attention online. You sit back as a wrestling fan. We don't need to see you typing every 35 seconds about every little fart that goes down on TV. Enjoy it. Take it in. Watch it play out throughout the night. Then after it goes off the air, then you make your comments about it. And people just got it wrong over and over and over. That's not a popular thing, everyone. That's not popular. Why am I gonna sit at home and not type during 2 hours? Where if you add up the 95 tweets that I write, I have 311 likes. I'm popular. I'm wanted. I matter. That's why yours truly and many of you out there, we're ghosted. We're ghosted online because we make too much sense. Shut up. Shut up. You're making us look like fools. Shut up. Man, I think I'm going to start doing interviews here. I think I'm going to start bringing on friends in wrestling to let them give a little bit of educated lessons to some of the morons out there. I sat back and I watched SmackDown today, and Sasha Banks makes her return. We said she needs to return now, and she needs to turn on Bianca Belair. Sasha Banks needs to fill the giant void that Bayley has left because of injury. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science, and we got it tonight. Give WWE credit for going with that story. That's the only story. That's the only story. That's the only direction they could have gone. And people out there actually thought Zelina Vega was going to take on Bianca Belair. And now they're like, Zelina Vega is being buried. Zelina Vega can't get a win for nothing. She's being buried. Well, why don't you pay her fucking paycheck so she doesn't have to be on TV being buried? What the fuck does that mean? She's not actually getting pinned. This is entertainment. Oh, well, she loses. Fuck does that mean? Man, some people are so stupid. Stupid. Stupid is that stupid does. But not any of you out there. Thank God. Thank God. I love that our extended family out there is a little smarter than that. So we'll talk about SmackDown tonight. We'll talk about Vince McMahon's comments that he made in the conference call about AEW yesterday. We kind of touched on it briefly last night. A couple of calls came in. I got some of the actual quotes, and we'll discuss that. And we'll discuss it in a real manner. Also, we got an update about Natty. And unfortunately, everyone, she's got to get surgery. She's got to get surgery. She is going to be out. We do not know how long she's going to be out. But let me put it this way. When after all this time since the match, that she's in a wheelchair and she's in crutches, because obviously if you go from a wheelchair into a car, you know, unless you have a car designed for a wheelchair, you have to use crutches to get from point A to point B. She's in bad shape. She's got to get surgery. Now, her tweet today, she said that, today my surgeon told me that I am an anomaly. It's been an intense week, to say the least. All I asked is to be put back in the fight and fast. Surgery will fix me. Defending our championships will drive me. That last sentence, Natty, I am a fan of yours. Most of you out there appreciate her. If you remember a couple of years ago, I said Natty was the most important person that was drafted on the roster, because she was going to help a lot of the young women I think she was drafted to Raw, whichever brand she was drafted to. I thought she was so important to help with the women. She's a locker room leader. And I wish her the best. But that last sentence, that she's going to come back and fast so she can defend the titles, that's her basically, and I'm just being lighthearted with this, that's her basically saying to WWE, please don't strip us of the belt. Please don't strip us of the belt. Let me just do a storyline. Please just don't strip us of the belt. Nobody cares if we're not on TV right now. Please don't let us strip it of the belt. Let us keep the titles. When we look back at the annals of wrestling history, me and Tamino have a 6-month run, even though we didn't wrestle for 4 months. Please don't strip us of the belt. You got to get stripped of the titles. You got to get stripped of the titles. I mean, you get knee surgery, or leg surgery, whatever it is, you know, she's going to be out for a while. You know, unfortunately, there's no magic glue or things with tendons and ruptures. It only, you have to sit and wait it out. And then once that heals, then the re-strengthening happens. She's going to be out for a little while. I wish her nothing but the best, and that is 100% sincere. But if WWE keeps those tag titles on Natty and Tamina, that women's division, I mean, I don't know how it could get any worse than what it is right now, but that women's division is pretty much done. I mean, you want to do a little tournament, have Adam Pearce and Sonya come out there, announce a tournament, a gauntlet, do it at SummerSlam. Put a couple of teams from Raw, a couple of teams on SmackDown, let them do a gauntlet match and crown new champions. And you can even go one step further, is that when Natty is ready to return from injury, Natty and Tamina get a title shot to get a chance at the titles back. Easy. Settled. We'll see what happens. Royal Soldier, have Medusa throw the belts in the trash. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? I mean, if Reginald wins the women's tag team championships, then I agree with you. Throw it in the trash. But, you know, the women's tag team division is fixable. They have a plethora of women. They just need to stick with the program and stop doing what they're doing. I mean, now with live crowds back, you know, you do see things upgraded a little bit. And you do still see some really Shangada stuff. Reggie, with no longer, he got the Kofi syndrome. Reggie is suffering from Kofi syndrome right now. Not coffee that you drink, Kofi. Where the fuck did the accent go tonight? Kofi, I don't know what happened. Kofi's accent is gone. I mean, because you know why? Because he needs to start cutting much more promos. And they decide, fuck the accent. Unfortunately, Reginald is not Kofi Kingston. Reginald you couldn't even pretend to be Kofi Kingston if he wore a Kofi Kingston Halloween costume. The guy sucks. In the ring, he sucks. Personally, I have nothing against him. Some people tell me that he is a sweetheart. But I'm watching wrestling. I'm a wrestling fan. I want to be goddamn entertained. Because he could flip upside. Why don't you get the whole Cirque du Soleil out there? There's some women that could do that too. Have them flip all around the arena. You know, why not? Just bring the whole circus in there. Just bring the whole thing. You know, just have him win all. Why? Because he could flip upside down and do this. Please, man. That 24/7 title, the match ended today on a disqualification. Why? Because Reginald, he's not talented enough to actually be a wrestler in the ring. They give him a belt because if he became the Intercontinental Champion or the United States Champion or a tag team champion, let alone the heavyweight championships, I mean, social media will just go upside down. It would make it, so no, we'll just put the 24/7 time. Oh, I can't do hardcore. And he can't run away. And he's not talented enough to just do fruit roll-ups all the time. So no. We'll actually do a straight-up wrestling match, and it ends in a DQ. Please, in the comment section after the show, tell me where I'm wrong with that. You know, oh, he flipped. I know he is likable to a lot of people, but that's not even funny. It's not even funny. It's not even entertaining. What am I watching, the fucking Matrix on WWE? Because somebody punches him? He ducks. Please, kick him in the balls. Just kick him in the balls. Let's see him flip out of that. You know what I want to see? I want to see Otis punch him or Nia punch him so hard that when he flips, his shoes are left in the ring. Seriously, I want him to flip upside down and just the shoes. He gets knocked out of his shoes. The shoes are just planted in the ring. Shout out to Mark Anderson. I see I guess maybe because I don't feel well, I'm a little bit extra grumpy tonight. I thought SmackDown was a great show. My God, it opened up with John Cena. If you could find someone, what was the line? I actually wrote it down. If you could find someone who keeps missionary position interesting for 2 decades, keep them. I don't even understand why this missionary talk started in the first place. I mean, I understand it's trying to be a little extra edgy and everything, but I still don't even understand why Roman Reigns brought that up in the first place. But it is funny as hell. John Cena comes out, he cuts his promo, and he's talking about, and again, if you notice, we really don't have much back and forth as far as cutting promos with John Cena, Roman Reigns. A lot of it happens when each other is not in the ring together. Even when John Cena entered the ring during the contract signing, there really was not much verbiage done. Because John Cena, can own anybody cutting promos. You thought Adam Cole and Karrion Kross was bad. Unfair, absolutely unfair, but still, it was not good on TV. So one-sided. You imagine if Cena, and we picked up on this 2 weeks ago, that if Cena and Roman Reigns, they get into it, and they're going to have to, at some point before SummerSlam, they're going to have that interaction. And I posted in the comment section 2 weeks ago those two exchanges that John Cena had with The Rock back in, 2012? It was, February or March of 2012, somewhere around there. And, The Rock got owned, which is something you rarely ever, he got rattled. I don't think he got owned, he got rattled. And, if Roman Reigns, he's awesome in this character. He is killing it. He is truly, as far as the overall package, is he the most polished wrestler? No. Can he out-wrestle people like Kenny Omega and Finn Balor and others? No. But the overall package, the believability, telling a story, on the mic, everything that he does, he is at the top of his game. The top of his game. It's not a question. When people try to compare Kenny Omega and Roman Reigns, I think that's so unfair because their styles and their characters are so different. But Roman Reigns is just phenomenal at what he does. But anybody out there can get rattled. Could be from fans. It could be from a feud. You get brain cramps, brain farts. So they're really trying to avoid Cena and Roman Reigns verbally clashing at the same time in the ring. They will have little moments here and there, but for the most part, they're avoiding that. Because if Cena says what he says, uninterrupted, he's at the top of his game. When Roman Reigns says what he says, uninterrupted, he's at the top of his game. At some point, that's going to have to clash, and it's going to be really interesting to see where it goes. But again, like I said earlier, if anybody out there would have just used common sense and said, wait a minute, Cena's going to be gone after SummerSlam. Why would they have Balor versus Roman Reigns? It never made sense. If you want to have a match on SmackDown, sure. But SummerSlam, people actually fell for that. This is why you got to watch a show and watch it play out. Watch what happens with Karrion Kross play out. Watch what happens with the match at SummerSlam play out. Watch what happens with other people play out. Watch what happens with Keith Lee play out. Keith Lee, we don't know where this goes in a week or two. Again, I am hoping that Keith Lee turns heel, turns in the WWE Universe, and aligns himself with MVP. Wishful thinking? Probably. But again, people out there investing so much energy trying to analyze Keith Lee, trying to analyze this and this. Sit the fuck back, be a wrestling fan, and see where it goes. Then comment about it. WWE is about a story. Yeah, I made an analogy yesterday on the show, which I thought at the time might have been one of the more stupid things that I said, but so many people emailed me and commented after. They're like, wow, that's spot on. Compare AEW's product that you watch on Wednesdays, compare Dynamite, and compare WWE programming. No, I didn't say NXT. No, I didn't say Raw or SmackDown. If there's any way for me to compare what an AEW Dynamite episode is like for yours truly, and what a WWE show is like for yours truly, compare it to working and compare it to your salary. You get paid every week. If you compare your salary to WWE, you get your check, you spread it out, you put some in the bank, you basically organize it, and you have further plans. You might have some goals. You might want to buy some down the line, but it's structured. It's more organized. You get your check. You're a little bit more professional about it. AEW is like when you get your paycheck, that motherfucker is spent by Friday night. You get paid Friday at 5 o'clock. By midnight, that money is gone. And you enjoyed every second of it. Gee, what am I going to do? 6 months from now. Fuck it. You might be dead in 6 months. Enjoy yourself now. Blow your load now. Have fun now. That's what AEW is for yours truly. That's how I compare it. AEW is more live for the moment. And like WWE. Remember when WWE and Triple H and others said it's a marathon, not a sprint? Why can't it be a sprint? Why can't it be a sprint? WWE, because they're $1 billion company, they're forced to run the marathon. I'm trying to simulate running. When you're a $1 billion company, AEW is nowhere near that. Just because they inked a $144 million deal doesn't mean that whole $144 million is in the bank. We just had COVID. What do you think they sold? 10 trillion T-shirts? They have definitely had some issues with money. Pay-per-view buy rates will help. They just inked a deal with Upper Deck. In November, they're coming out with trading cards. That will help. They just sold 12,000 tickets. What is it, the United Center in Chicago? 12,000 tickets. That is big money. You have good pay-per-view buy rates. That's good money. No one knows how that advertising on television set up for AEW. You don't know if the network is the one that is getting a majority. You don't know how it's structured. People think they know how AEW is paid with Abbott. You don't know because every contract is different. So when you hear Domino's threatening to pull their commercials off of Dynamite shows, doesn't necessarily mean that Domino's is pulling off of TNT entirely. You gotta, just because they have these deals, they have to get money in it. They don't do anything with DVDs. Right now, it's mostly T-shirts. And that is why a championship belt is like $800 or whatever it is. That's why it is. Because, you see, the contracts that they offer, a lot of these wrestlers have deals where they could work other promotions. They could keep their social media accounts. They could keep outside, projects. They could sell their own T-shirts. They could do this. Sure, AEW will design their own versions of stuff. But when those wrestlers are allowed to keep so much of what they have on the outside, that is money that is not coming into AEW. So AEW's got to find it elsewhere. And I guess it's found in the form of, I wanted to get 2 front row seats for Queens, and I'm not paying $4,000. You fucking kidding me? The VIP. But the VIP, you can get 2 tickets for $2,500. I'll buy a fucking used car with that. I'm not paying $2,500 for 2 tickets. Oh, United Center, you get front row tickets, $900. I'm not paying $900. Someone else might want to. I'm not. So AEW has got to get revenue streams elsewhere. And let me tell you something, 12,000 seats in one day for the United Center in Chicago is fucking awesome. Getting a trading card deal with Upper Deck that's going to be released in November, that is awesome. They land crazy pay-per-view buy rate. They're going to have 4 events in the Chicago area. Now I'm convinced CM Punk is signed. Last week I put a question mark. Darby Allin call out CM Punk, question mark. Because nobody knows if it's an exclamation point. You see all those people with premature ejaculation 2 weeks ago? CM Punk is signed with AEW. How do you know that? How do you know that? They guessed. They don't know. But the thing is, I could turn around and say, hey, everybody, I'm calling it here now. Oh, I can't say that. I don't joke about people passing away. But you could write something, and eventually it happens. See, I told you. I was right all along. No, you fucking guessed 3 weeks ago. But now it's Captain Obvious. You sell out 12,000 tickets in Chicago. You are having wrestlers tease best in the world on TV. Could you imagine how Tony Khan would look if CM Punk is not signed? Do you realize the laughing stock that he would be? Sure, you would have some nucleus that would turn around and say, look, you know, he did everything he could, and people will get mad at CM Punk. They will turn around and shift the blame and say, CM Punk, that prick, he wants the world. You know, he's not negotiable. He's too demanding. Tony Khan is a very smart man. He's not going to, bankrupt his company for any one person. That's how they'll spin it. That's how they'll spin it. They'll even say the deal was pretty much done, signed on the dotted line, and then CM Punk moved the goalpost. How many times you heard that over the years? So now, with all of this buzz, I mean, CM Punk has to be signed. It's not even a question of if. It's a question of when does he appear? And like I said last night, you have these shows coming up in Chicago. You do not waste one show without CM Punk there. You have the opportunity of selling out a 15,000-seat building. You have a pay-per-view that doesn't happen every single month, and you charge $50 a pay-per-view, whatever it is. You turn it around, oh, no, he's going to start in October. Why would you do that? You got to get that guy as many events as possible and get as much money in there as you can. And when those ratings continue to increase, right now they're staying around 1.1 million for the last 3 weeks. So much for those geniuses when they were on Friday night. Oh, I'm concerned. Even if they go back to Wednesday, I'm concerned they're never going to get those ratings back that they had before. I mean, these are the same people that told you last year, wrestling's never going to go back to house shows. These are the people now trying to create paranoia. AEW may have to go back to Daly's place. And Thunderdome may happen again. Oh, if fucking Thunderdome happens again. Oh, if it happens again. That motherfucker will be sitting ringside every single show just to trigger people. Everyone, just be a wrestling fan. Look full steam ahead, take it and enjoy it. And don't let all these worry warts and these negative people, you know, we like to watch things sprout. They like to pout. Seriously, would you like to watch things develop and sprout? Or do you want to be one of these bitter bitches and just pout? Everything is negative. They got all triggered because of Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, what did he say? And then we'll talk about SmackDown. Because look, SmackDown tonight was about two things. Contract signing, Sasha Banks. That's what tonight was about. Plain and simple. We'll get into the meat and potatoes of it. But Vince McMahon triggering a lot of people online. They did an investor call. AEW was brought up. Now, somebody asked if he views AEW as competition. All right. Vince's response, and I quote, he says he feels WWE needs to counter. Okay, no. Somebody asked Vince McMahon how WWE currently views AEW as competition, and if Vince McMahon feels that WWE needs to counter AEW's investments with their own roster investments, seeing how WWE and AEW could be competing for media rights in the future. Now, I'm going to be straight honest with you. Seriously, I want to repeat that question that was asked to Vince. I want you to think about this. The person asked Vince McMahon, how does he currently view AEW's competition? Fine. That part of the question is good. Then he says, Does Vince McMahon feel that he needs to counter AEW's investments with their own roster investments? Who? Tell me who is sitting out there other than maybe Brock Lesnar to counter, and what does that even mean? You got Becky Lynch about to return. You got Sasha Banks that just returned. You got John Cena for the majority of the summer. And there's more than likely you're going to get Brock Lesnar back. Tell me what is out there that's investments. When you actually think about it, that's like a lot of these Andrew Yang tweets. They sound good amongst 160 characters, but when you start breaking it down, it's like, wait, this makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. How do you counter that? It doesn't make sense. So Vince McMahon's response, it's not a situation where rising tides, because that was when Ted Turner was coming after us with Time Warner's assets. That was a different situation. AEW is where they are. I don't really know what their plans are. All I know is what our plans are. So far, Vince makes 100% sense. He doesn't know what AEW's plans are in the future. Ted Turner made it clear. He wanted to get into wrestling, and he wanted to put Vince McMahon out of business, and he was trying to sign away as many big-time stars from WWE as possible, and he owned the network. Ted Turner put it his own platform. You know, what happens if TNT doesn't re-sign with AEW for some reason? And what happens if a lot of networks want to offer them a hell of a lot less? You know, you don't want to, I mean, Tony Khan obviously is not Paul Heyman in the sense that Tony Khan seems much more responsible, whether it's Shad Khan's money or not. But you can't run your company based on what you think the next TV deal is. Just like WWE cannot run their company based on what the next Saudi deal will be, or 5 years from now if Peacock wants to re-up on their deal, or Fox wants to re-up on their deal. You know, what happens if we have a tremendous decline in the world financially? I mean, there's already scares of inflation. Don't think that can't hurt wrestling as well. And you have networks that start, look at day of all-time Warner, 2001, 2001. I've talked about this before. This isn't sexy. That's why nobody talks about it. WCW went out of business, not because AOL Time Warner just felt that WCW sucked that bad and they wanted to get rid of them as quickly as possible. No, you had that downfall online with AOL Time Warner. Go back in 2000 and look at the amount of money that they were losing, AOL Time Warner, and it's a lot of their investments going south. And then you realize that they were hemorrhaging so much money, they needed to get rid of as many products that was causing them further damage. If AOL Time Warner was strong and they were not losing these deals, go look at the internet bubble at that time. Look at the bubble that went down in 2000. Then you understand why WCW got cut as quickly as they did. What happens if TNT and those networks start making careless investments and they start hemorrhaging money? I mean, you remember Diamond Dallas Page? You remember the Monday Night Wars, that documentary that WWE created? One comment that I have never forgotten about the Monday Night Wars, which I absolutely loved when WWE did that originally. Remember Raw vs. Nitro? When Diamond Dallas Page was talking about when AOL Time Warner refused to keep WCW on TV, Diamond Dallas Page says, but this is your number one show. This is your number one show. They didn't want it on their TV. Their number one show. I'm not saying AEW is going to follow that path. I'm not even insinuating it. All I'm saying is that back in 2000 and 2001, you know, a lot of people didn't understand the full scope as to why WCW went out of business. They blamed it on Hogan and Creative and Nash and too many cooks in the beyond. That didn't help, but there was so much more than that. you want AEW to be in control of their own future. You can't turn around. Look at, if you want to go on a very tiny scale, BC Reviews 51. Welcome to the family, my friend. By the way, yeah, we got to put this on the screen. There we go. So now anybody out there, if you are kind to send any super chats, if you subscribe, if you become a channel member, you should see a little shout out on the screen. You're going to thank you for me as well. I always have to remember to enable it, by the way, but BC Reviews 51, welcome to the family, my friend. So AEW, you can't, see, like YouTube, again, this AEW is like this. You saw small wrestling promotions. You saw podcasts. You saw a lot of outlets in wrestling that were making pretty awesome revenue on YouTube. If you want to get a little bit more intimate, look at TV Tracks. A lot of you became aware of my shows through TV Tracks' YouTube channel. TV Tracks made crazy money on YouTube. I don't know how much, but I have an idea. And what happened was, a couple of years ago, YouTube pulled the revenue from pro wrestling. And immediately you saw wrestling promotions go out of business, tiny ones, but still. You saw a lot of shows end. And then I get a DM from TV Tracks. Brother, look, I got to take some time off. This and that. You know, I just want to thank you for letting me put the shows on. And at that time, I told him, I'm like, look, he asked me, he says, can I put your shows online? And I said, sure, no problem. I said, and make money, you know, because he gave us a lot of shout outs and he gave us exposure. And I said, go ahead. At that time, I wanted to go on YouTube. I wanted to put my own stuff out there. But obviously, it's not just, I don't want anybody to say, well, you know, other people didn't want to be on. I wasn't ready either. I couldn't have done any of this. But the point is that too many people out there depended solely on YouTube streams, on the revenue. And when that revenue was taken away, they were immediately out of business. So you need to have some financial security. You can't just depend on, oh my God, can you imagine what TNT's TV deal, what they're going to offer next? They could offer $1 billion. That's why that person asked that question. They think that they signed CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, and you even see a doubling of the ratings, that the network is going to turn around a year and a half from now, whenever it is, and say, okay, we'll offer you now $300 million. There's no guarantee that's going to happen. And what happens if AEW is losing a lot of money because these arenas cost a boatload of money? They're not getting the advertising revenue that people think that they're getting. The pay-per-view buy rates are not as strong as what people anticipate, and the amount of expense that they're putting out there doesn't equal the amount of money coming in. What happens if Shad Khan says, look, I can't invest in this anymore? What happens then? You know, I'm not saying that AEW is going to go. I think AEW is here to stay for a very, very long time. But you look at TNA in 2002, NWA TNA in 2002, and there was a lot of hype thinking that they were going to be the new number 2, the next WCW, but more managed the right way. And unfortunately, they're still around. They're getting 110,000 viewers. So Vince McMahon, so far what he said made total sense. He doesn't know what AEW's plans are. It's not that clear cut. Then he turns around and says he doesn't consider AEW competition in the same way he would consider WCW back in the day, not anywhere near close to that. Okay. For some reason, that pissed off a lot of people, but that's true. Ted Turner's motives and Tony Khan's motives are totally different. Plus, you didn't have social media like you do now. You don't have, the internet and the world is completely different than 1994. I mean, just think back to, and if you weren't alive at that time or you were too young to understand, Go watch some YouTube videos of what social media, or it really was non-existent other than Prodigy chats. But go look at what the internet was like in 1994. Almost zero revenue, for the most part, was coming to pro wrestling because of the internet. There was no WWF.com in 1994, I don't believe. So WCW's motives in the early 90s is completely different than this. He didn't say anything wrong. Where Vince McMahon fucked up, though. Vince McMahon fucked up royally when he made this remark and said, I'm not sure what their investments are as far as their talent goes, but perhaps we could give them some more. I personally thought that comment was absolutely unnecessary, because there have been people that have been released that, obviously fans were very, very upset at. They see online WWE stars getting released and WWE getting record profits from it. You can't take individual people who you are, when it comes down to it, they're losing a job. Whether it's independent contractor or paid employee or whatever it is, they're losing a job. And to turn around and to take, maybe we could give them some more people. That's pretty fucked up. And you know me. I support Vince McMahon. I still hope one day I get to shake his hand before he's no longer on this earth. But even I will say, you can't take, especially with COVID still being around and the financial issues that are going on, and especially the bubble and inflation and everything that is right upon us. And you're going to have other people losing their livelihood, and you're going to see more people losing their jobs, and to turn around and just say, maybe we could give them some more people. That's kind of fucked up. That's just really fucked up. So I don't blame a lot of wrestlers out there getting very, very insulted by it, especially when some people were let go, and, you just sit back and you're like, why was this person? I don't want to use any individual names, but, you want to get rid of people. You feel that you could get away. I'm just using a random number, but if WWE feels that they could manage their TV shows with 100 wrestlers instead of 140, just using a fictitious number, but we'll use that for example. If you want to do that as smart business, you please your investors, the value of the company goes up, the stock goes up, which means you have more revenue, which means you could do more things, you could reinvest into other areas, fine. But when you do that, you can't kick people in the ass on the way out. I mean, the Mickey James garbage bag thing, I am a huge Mickey James fan. I don't need to defend that. You all know that already. But facts are facts. WWE's been putting people's things in garbage bags and then putting them in boxes for decades. It's nothing different. But when you're kicked out and there's record profits and you open up your stuff and there's a sticky note on it with a bag, in a garbage bag, the perception comes off differently. When somebody is let go in 2005 and their stuff is, a box is lined with a garbage bag, a trash bag, and your stuff is inside. I mean, you don't think of it because there was no what's going on now. People get released. Tons of people were released back in the 2000s. But now with COVID and the perception of it, and you're letting people go and your record profits, this and that, and then you get it in a bag with a Post-it note on it. Now you think that somebody's giggling when they're boxing your stuff up. And that comment that Vince McMahon made, I think a lot of people in wrestling, especially people who were released, felt the same way that some of them felt when they got their stuff delivered in a garbage bag. Nathan Reeder, what's up? Left Twix, Gene Monday, Sam, Keith Doherty, Kavan, Jacob, Ken terminated by DQ, Hayes. Much love, everybody, and everybody else tuning in today. But seriously, Vince McMahon is a harsh businessman. And yes, out of touch, I would think so. But there's no need to be a total asshole about it. Okay, maybe Vince McMahon is a little pissed off because, again, I never blamed Eddie Kingston for cutting the promo about, that we care about our fans and making it seem like WWE does not care about their fans. Remember that promo that Eddie Kingston cut? Remember how Bully Ray, and I'm not singling out Bully Ray, but I want to prove a point. It's something I said before. See, Busted Open Radio, when they called out Eddie Kingston for saying that, that's not necessary. Talk about why your product is good, not why the other company is bad. But you know what all of these people that said that left out? They left out the fact that AEW, Tony Khan, Houdat, and others professionally produced Eddie Kingston's speech, put it on YouTube, and advertised it over and over again on Twitter. They called out Eddie Kingston, but they never called out Tony Khan and AEW for putting that with a bow tie, tuxedo, and displaying it as great quality. Instead of a fan cam video, no, we'll produce it, different camera angles, nice bass from the crowd. So in some ways, I don't blame Vince McMahon for being a little bit of a wise ass. It goes both ways. Just because someone is your favorite doesn't mean that they might not, push the other people's buttons a little bit. I push buttons. Other people push buttons. Everybody pushes buttons. But during the conference call with investors, though, you're supposed to be better than that. And that's the difference and why I think Vince McMahon was totally wrong for what he said yesterday. Because you're on call with your investors. You're going to have media people always try to do the gotcha. You're going to have your Mike Johnsons always asking, some gotcha questions. And again, whoever asked that question, I have no idea who asked that question yesterday, but when you actually dissected how do you counter AEW's investments? What does that even mean? Does AEW have financial stockholders? Yeah, us. The fans, without the fans, AEW would be pretty much history. With WWE, without the fans, they'd be history too. But they have investors that a lot of them don't even care about the product, have no interest on who's champion or what storylines in it. Sasha Banks return. No, they just look at it as numbers. WWE make $40 million in profit, and they see the return to live events. 15,000 seat arenas sold out. 70,000 seat arena sold for SummerSlam. Hey, I might want to invest some money in that company. Seem like they know what the fuck they're doing. They don't care about the storylines. They don't care about the wrestlers. They don't care about Reggie being 24/7 champion. They just look at the bottom line. That's something when Vince McMahon says, I don't know what their investments are. You have to look at it like that. You can't look at it like, oh, it's just, throwing darts at each other. Again, sorry for what I said might sound a little boring, and I know it's not sexy like what you see online, but that's the facts. That's the facts. Now, that's why when he said he doesn't see AEW as competition the way he saw WCW, I just explained why. It makes total sense. If he would have left it at that, there would have been no argument whatsoever. I'm sure people would have still found a reason to bitch about it. Now, Nick Khan made some other comments, and you take it however you want. As far as how WWE sees others as competition, Nick Khan feels that all entertainment out there is competition. He said, and I quote, I think the way we look at these situations, it's sort of like a horse race where the horse has blinders on. We're looking straight ahead at our lane and making sure we stay in the front of the pack. At the same time, everything is our competition. Someone has a line a couple of weeks ago that we all chuckled with. Sleep is our competition. If it was up to us, people could be up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, watching content from different content providers, hopefully including ours. So we don't look at any organization particularly as competition. We see everything as competition. And if you think about what I've been saying about the ratings since 1997, since I started doing hotlines in 1997, what I've said about the ratings. When ratings go up or go down for a pro wrestling company, what that tells you is that wrestling fans for a particular day chose your programming over others. AEW has been the #1 show on cable, I guess, for 3 Wednesdays in a row. So on Wednesday nights, more wrestling fans have decided they want to tune into pro wrestling on Wednesday than anything else. No baseball, no NBA playoffs, news, politics, porn, Olympics, crime drama shows, movies. They're doing a marathon of something. No, they chose your product over others. When the ratings go down, that means wrestling fans chose to do something else than watch your product. Friday nights, perfect example. They didn't have 500,000 wrestling fans turn around and say, I don't like AEW anymore. I don't like it anymore. No, on Friday night, they were like, you know what? It's Friday. You know, all my friends. I'll watch AEW over the weekend. Or they might have other things that they do on Fridays. They might watch other things. I don't know. They choose to do other. That doesn't mean your product sucks. That doesn't mean that it's gone down. But if you see a pattern, you have to address it. When pro wrestling does great numbers, and I used to joke about this back in the day with Survivor. I don't remember Survivor ever turn around and say, yeah, our numbers were decent, but that motherfucker Raw, the goddamn Monday Night Wars between Raw and Nitro, imagine what, you never saw playoffs, football, baseball, anything else. Yeah, the numbers were down this year. That motherfucker Vince McMahon, that prick. How come no other entertainment outlet out there, when their numbers go lower, they turn around and blame pro wrestling for being on against them with competition? Only wrestling fans do that. And with this climate and COVID hurting a lot of us out there financially, I think I liked having to work 4 jobs. I hated it. I mean, I enjoyed some of what I was doing because we got a bigger family out there now, and I've met a lot of you. You know, it's not easy work. Doing taxes, delivering groceries, walking up 3, 4 flights, but I hustled wherever I can to make whatever money I can. But if we get this stock inflation, WWE, ooh, buy the new Edge shirt with tax and shipping, $38.99. No, thank you. No, thank you. Maybe I'll find a new without tags on eBay for $11. You know, when prices keep going up and up, you have to make decisions. Do I buy this? Do I buy that? Do I buy this pay-per-view or do I buy this one? And that's why WWE, when they say they're in competition with everybody, Ultimate Fighting is going to be on a week before us. You know, a lot of people out there cannot say, no problem. Tantalizing Tony just subscribed. Tantalizing Tony. I like that name. Tantalizing Tony. Much love, my friend. Welcome aboard. But UFC, MMA is on the week before WWE has a pay-per-view. Uh-oh. No problem. No problem. I'll buy all the pay-per-views. Slammiversary, Anniversary, AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact, right? Yeah, I'm going to buy all the pay-per-views. No, you know what happens? You go to the Discord channel. Hey, anybody got a free link where I could watch it? And then everybody watches it for free. And then the people who paid for it, they get all triggered on social media. Oh, all these assholes. Could you imagine the buy rate if people wouldn't just, rip off AEW by watching it for free? Well, how's about people just can't afford to swing $200-$300 a month watching everybody's pay-per-views. So what does WWE want to do? They want you to choose them first. That's what business is. That's what it is. So, again, that investor call yesterday would have been perfectly fine if they just keep their nose above some of the shit being said online and just be professional about it. Obviously Vince McMahon has a tough exterior, but it's pretty obvious that he gets a little triggered when people take shots at his company. Make your wrestlers happy. Make your wrestlers proud of the company you work for, and not send, private DMs to people out there like, man, this motherfucker. Because there's a lot of people that feel that way. And AEW as well. Focus on why your product is awesome. As a wrestling fan, you don't think that I would pop if CM Punk shows up and does a pipe bomb on WWE and starts ripping on some of the way they operate their business and some of the stuff we see on TV? You don't think as a wrestling fan I wouldn't want to see that? As a wrestling fan, I probably would be, wow, it was fucking epic. Because what have I been saying since 97 also? Back in the early 90s, the late 90s to early 2000s, I had wars with a lot of other wrestling hotlines out there. There were a lot of people trying to provoke shit too. And what I used to always say is there's a lot of people out there who think that real life feuds is more entertaining than the wrestling that they see on TV. That's why all these reality shows and Maury and everything else became so popular, because the real life fighting is more entertaining than scripted shit. So as a wrestling fan, I would love to see CM Punk do that. But also a side of me says, you know what, man? Fucking just show everybody why AEW is must-see TV, and let WWE just get so frustrated and let them yell at the top of their lungs and everybody acts like they're not listening. I try to do that with my stuff. People want to say shit, they say it privately, I will do what I have to do about it. But when people throw darts publicly, there used to be shows out there that would call me out and call my co-hosts out and say all this horrible stuff because they wanted us so bad to go on our show and say, oh yeah, I heard about what blah, 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 blah said. And it gets them attention and it starts a war. And I never really went along with that. Worry about what brings you good, So anyway, so that's the deal with WWE yesterday. Hopefully you enjoyed what I said about it as far as, the things with Vince. I mean, we talk a little bit more common sense and breaking it down a little bit more honest. Instead of other people out there, Vince, you are a prick. You are an asshole. You are a stupid motherfucker. I hate you. Oh, 50,000 likes. That's cheap, in my opinion. And as far as Domino's threatening to pull their ads, my honest opinion on it, bye. The fuck out of here. Seriously. Oh, we can't have a pizza cutter. Good. They should have known that from the Morton Downey Jr. show. The Morton Downey Jr. show from the 90s. When Domino's was doing advertising during Morton Downey Jr. And then he started fucking up. And then they're like, we don't want this. Domino's has a history of doing this. And I truly believe that there's a lot of people that already do that, but it's more sexy to say, fuck you, Domino's. I'm never buying your pizza again. I'll buy Geno's from the frozen food section before I buy your stuff. I'll eat a dirt pizza before. Yeah, that's sexy. Yeah, you told them. I'm sorry, I don't think, what was that little Martian thing? The Nemo, the Nimrod? Chat room, bail me out. What was that little Martian from back in the day for Domino's? I don't remember the thing. You think they're losing sleep over that? Oh, my God. ProWrestlingZit.com said they'll never eat my pizza again. Yes, the pro wrestling episodes on Morton Downey Jr. was awesome. Especially when Paulie called in that time before. The Noid. I knew it was something. The Noid. I think the Noid is like, oh, my God, ProWrestlingZit.com won't eat our pizza anymore. Domino's, bye. Okay, you're triggered by the pizza cutter? Bye. I'm sure that there's a lot of other advertisers that would be willing to take their place. Of course, the network doesn't want to get their advertisers upset, because if the network acts like they don't give a shit, now you got a little problem. And if you start giving that perception that you don't care about that stuff, you will see advertisers pull out. And again, you don't need unforced errors. There was no reason, in my opinion, to show Nick Gage with the pizza cutter, knowing that the Domino's commercial was going on. You know, if people don't understand with advertising, they know what ads are being shown at what. They know what their blocks are. You know, a lot of people think, oh, unbelievable coincidence. No. They know what blocks. You buy advertising space? Okay, I'd like it at this time. I want it at this time. We're going to put you in it. They knew exactly what was going on. So, want to bring up one last thing about Nick Gage, and then we will wrap up some SmackDown talk and call it a night. We're at an hour and 16 minutes, so we'll definitely be done within 2 hours tonight. I get to sleep a little early. I don't feel well at all tonight. But thank God I got no fever. Nose is a little you know, but we had bad rainstorms over here yesterday, so I'm writing it off as that, but I feel a little run down, so I get a good night's sleep tonight. I could wake up late tomorrow. For my channel members, I am recording the video Q&A tomorrow, as promised. So you got your last minute to send in your questions, maybe after Sasha returning tonight. Maybe that sparks a couple of additional questions. Lee is asking me, Pizza Hut, Gino's, or Lado's Pizza. I don't know what Lado's Pizza is, but I used to enjoy Pizza Hut back in the day. I really enjoyed Pizza Uno. I know I've called Evil Uno, Evil Pizza Uno. Yes, I was calling him that before anyone else was. Pizza Uno was awesome back in the day. I used to go with my friends. We go to Pizza Uno in Valley Stream, Long Island. Oh, awesome, man. Austin Nance, much love, my friend. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about Booker T's comments about Nick Gage. Doesn't it feel like Booker T might end up landing some type of a deal in AEW behind the scenes? I don't know, I got this vibe. Within the next 12 months, we might see Booker T employed by AEW in some way. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. They need veteran Hall of Famers to help school the wrestlers of tomorrow, the future stars, not just in the ring, but psychology outside the ring, how you present yourself, you know, just everything. Everything. So let me take a sip of my beverage, which I know you can't see. Well, maybe you can see over there. Yeah, there we go. All right. Booker T said this about Nick Gage, which may surprise a lot of people out there. He thinks Nick Gage is the real deal. The real deal. Now, I know for some of you out there that don't like hardcore wrestling, you're like, huh? What? He says, and I quote, if everybody in this business had the same thought process as Nick Gage, the business would be in a much better place. I'm not going to lie to you, everyone. I'm not the biggest Jim Cornette fan. I do tune into his stuff more now than I ever did before. He has a right to his opinion, even though I disagree with a lot of it. I can't wait. And it's so predictable. I can't wait for him to say, yeah, Booker T is endorsing that. That's what a former bank robber, drug addict, he's the poster child of what wrestling should be. I picture Jim Cornette making that phrase word for word. But Booker T says, and I continue, he says that because we are in an era of social media Everyone wants to get their word out to their followers, except for Nick Gage. Gage, you pull up photos of him, and he's never smiling. He's got the same look on his face in every photo you see of him. There's a picture of a guy that's getting ready to go into a death match each and every night. He's the real deal. The guys in AEW, WWE, and Impact can learn a whole lot from Nick Gage. If everyone walked along the same line and took this thing as seriously as this guy does, it would be in a much better place. Interpretation, in my opinion, what Booker T was trying to say, the same thing that I've said before. There was only one other time that I appreciated Matt Cardona. I never liked Zack Ryder. Still to this day, when he had that feud with Kane, I said, Zack Ryder fans, enjoy that moment. That'll be the pinnacle of his career. I don't care about that match he won at Mania for that title, whatever it was, the ladder match. He lost it before he could go take a shit. But the other, I gave him credit a couple of days ago for having that match with Nick Gage. That guy did not have to do that and went into enemy territory and did what he did. I admire Matt Cardona for doing that. One other time in his entire career that I really enjoyed was when he had that storyline with Eve Torres, and I think Kane was involved, and Cena might have been involved as well. And when he got injured, he stood in the wheelchair with the cast. Even when he got dumped along the side, which I kind of popped for, that guy took the storyline that seriously. I had the privilege once to be involved in an autograph signing for Shawn Michaels. I did several autograph signings back in the day. If you do a Google search, just type in like my real name and Video Game Central, and you'll see them all. From Brock Lesnar, I met all of them, many of them over the years. Not all of them, but many of them. I did a Shawn Michaels autograph signing. This was the time when Shawn Michaels was feuding with JBL, and they did the thing where he was blinded. That guy showed up at the autograph signing wearing a patch. Jon Moxley, not too long ago, no matter where he appeared, even in Japan, he wore the eye patch. That's what Booker T is talking about. You know, yes, for decades we know what pro wrestling is. That doesn't mean gives you the right to be lazy about it. I brought up the Bellas in the past. You remember that infamous storyline with the Bellas? You should have died in the womb. Don't say that. Don't say that. Yes, please say that. You should have died in the womb. And that same fucking week, they're eating dinner at a posh restaurant in California, and paparazzi shows up. They're like female Chris Van Vliet. Oh, take a picture. Oh, is this good? Oh, you like this? Oh, let's take a shot. They sat there and they posed, sitting together. Same week, you should have died in the womb. And they're eating dinner together. Lana and Rusev. I am a huge Lana fan. I'm a huge Rusev, Miro fan. But I always said, you're doing a storyline on TV where they're feuding with each other, and then they go on TMZ to show the ring. Everybody, look, we're engaged. To me, at that time, and look, in hindsight, maybe the climate of WWE, they just felt like they didn't give a shit. I'm an actor. I'm an actress. So what we do in our private lives has nothing to do with the storyline. So let's go on DMZ. Look at my finger. I thought that was disrespectful of pro wrestling. Just because we know what pro wrestling is doesn't mean that you can't play the story out. Nobody made fun of Moxley. Seriously, think back. Moxley wore the patch, a year ago? Whatever it was. I don't remember people going, Moxley, what the fuck, man? We know what wrestling is. Why are you wearing the patch? You walk around like this with something over your eye. Even try to drive. It's not easy. I'm serious. When you wake up tomorrow morning or you wake up in the middle of the night to go take a leak, tonight, when you got to go pee, just when you get out of bed, the first thing I want you to do is this. Then I want you to get out of bed and then walk to the bathroom and go pee. For the men out there, I guarantee you missed the toilet a couple of times. It's not easy to do that. That guy didn't care. He wanted to give that perception that his eye was truthfully blinded. I love when people still do kayfabe. I love it. I freaking love it. Even when I was doing the stuff that I was doing, even though my stuff was bad, you know, we made sure that anybody that called the hotlines or anybody that, you know, I mean, I you know, for people that don't know, I was in Louis' wedding party. Man is a sweetheart. I love that guy. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but he is a wonderful, wonderful man. But I made sure nobody knew that at that time. You know? I mean, it's just, we tried to make it as believable as possible. And I love people out there that still care that much. You don't have to do it, but people that go that extra mile to make people believe, you know, it's to me, I admire that. I admire that. So, Benjamin, I could reconnect with Louis if I want to. Look, I started reconnecting with friends that I grew up with that I hadn't seen, that I hung out with since I was maybe 11 years old. This picture I showed you before, some of these guys in this picture, you see the guy straight down the center on the left with the eyeglasses on? That's my best friend, Joe. He was my best friend up until about maybe 20 years ago, and we kind of lost touch. You know, some of the people I talked about over the years, you know, those are people I grew up with. We reconnected. I'm going to reconnect with some people in wrestling. If I get the opportunity to do some shows again, I would love to reconnect with some people. It's not like, oh, you know, but still, I admire people out there who still take it that seriously. That's a respect factor. That's a respect factor. I just feel, in my opinion, that especially that you're on WWE TV or AEW or something, you're on a major promotion where there's television involved. That's why that picture with MJF and Jericho, I don't have to repeat it. And I don't think I have this picture handy. If some of you out there never saw this picture, it will be so worth it if I could pull it up right now. I'm going to see if I could find it. Just bear with me for a second. I'm sorry for those on audio only. I had no idea that we were going to have this conversation tonight. I'm checking. Just give me a couple of more moments. I'm looking. I don't think I'm going to find it. Now, you know me. Whenever I say that I can't find something, I end up finding it. Let's see. Okay, this is, I'm thinking out loud. This is when New Jack passed. I'm just going through the time frame. Okay, here's the Hurt Business splitting up. This picture, I know some of you are not going to like this picture, but this, to me, I thought this was one of the worst pictures that could ever surface as far as AEW, especially with what's going on right now. Oh, hopefully I find it. Here's Paul Ondo. I don't think I'm going to find it tonight. Let me just check a little more. I might actually find it. It's really worth it, believe me. And I apologize for this brief blip. Okay, here's when Raquel Gonzalez won the title. All right, I think I'm on the right path. Shit. Pisses me off that I can't freaking find this. Anyway, it was the picture from when they had Stadium Stampede 2. And you remember they had the Jacksonville coaches involved too? And the first half of the Stadium Stampede match was pre-recorded. And then when MJF got put through, I'm still looking, but when MJF got put through the plate glass door, you know, the glass window in the door, That's when they then went live. And there, a picture surfaced. I think one of the coaches from Jacksonville posted a picture of them on the monitor. Man, I'm so freaking pissed. If I got to find this picture now. It's definitely, it's necessary, especially with our conversation. This is really going to anger me that I can't find this. All right, let me look a little bit further. So anyway, one of the coaches from the Jacksonville Jaguars posted a picture of them backstage watching the first half of Sadie and Stampede. And who is standing next to each other watching the match? MJF and Chris Jericho. Now, you think about what we have on TV right now, and you look at this picture, and you can't help but to be pissed off. And you're like, why would somebody be so freaking careless and post a picture like that online? And the reason being is because they don't have that respect to wrestling that, you know, you have to have that suspension of disbelief to. A lot of people don't care about that. I think that's what Booker T is talking about. Believe it or not, I may actually find it because now I'm looking at WrestleMania pictures and I know this happened right around that time. So just give me a couple of more seconds. If it does not surface, then the hell with it. We'll watch it another time. Is this it? This might not be it. Let me see if this is it. Okay, where did the picture go? Let me see if this is it. No. That's the Elite. I'm sorry, everybody. Doesn't look like I'm going to be able to find it. Let me check one more area. Believe me, I tell you, it's so, you know, if somebody posts a link, you could do me a favor right now, actually. If you post a link in the chat room where this photo is online, I probably could save it and literally upload it in not even 10 seconds. Okay, Lee got it for me. All right, here we go. Thank you, Lee. I found it. Okay, let me save it. Oh, computer, don't fail me now. There we go. All right, I got it. Okay, here's the picture. Hold on. Let me sort it. Oh, don't tell me this. Let me make sure this is saved. Yeah, it's saved in JPEG format. Okay, good. So let me just pull this up. There's only a couple of pictures here. It's, believe me, I tell you, if you've never seen this picture before, it is so worth it. I show it to you right now. All right, you know what? Let me save it in a different format. Okay, let me save this here. Okay. You know what? Fucking Google Chrome doesn't let you save the picture. Okay, no problem. I have many other browsers. Here we go. All right. Now I can save it. All right, let's save it here. There we go. All right, I got it. You look at this picture, everybody. Again, even though we know what pro wrestling is, seriously, I want you to justify this. I'm sorry for those on audio only. I you know, like I said, you know, audio only doesn't see these pictures. If you want to go online and check it out, by all means do so. But look at Tony Khan's reaction. And look at MJF standing right next to Jericho. Again, we understand what pro wrestling is, but this is what Booker T is talking about, in my opinion. This is what Booker T is talking about. You know, MJF is doing his 5 labors for Jericho. It's very hard to buy into it when you see this. I'm taking a sip. Wow, I'm surprised how many people never saw this picture before. And some of them are posing for the freaking camera. I mean, to me, that's unacceptable. That's just me. I thank you all for giving me a minute to get this photo. I thank Lee for giving me the link for it. But yeah, I think it's that important. That's what Booker T is talking about. And there should be less of that. All right, you want to take a picture for your own memory? And then down the line, you know, after all these storylines, you want to show something? Fine. But you see this, and you see, why does MJF even need to be standing next to Jericho? Just my opinion, everybody. Just my opinion. Anyway, let's start speeding this up so we could get out of here for tonight. Let's talk a little bit about SmackDown. Pull up my notes. Because again, tonight was about Cena versus Reigns at SummerSlam and Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair at SummerSlam. As we talked about earlier, John Cena came out to open up the show. He talked about Roman Reigns turning down his challenge for SummerSlam and Roman Reigns accepting Finn Balor instead. He addresses what Roman Reigns said about Cena wearing the same shit, year after year. And he said that, that would be like challenging The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he says that Roman Reigns has to change every 2 years because fans don't care about him. He said Roman Reigns is just a stooge named Joe that used every gimmick that there is out there. John Cena said that Roman Reigns is afraid to face him. That's when we had the fans breaking out into what chants like you and I predicted a couple of weeks ago. The fans are going to just relive a lot of the chants just to be interactive. They're not trying to rattle Cena, but still, they just want to have fun. The fans just want to have fun. He brings up the missionary position, that if you can find someone that keeps missionary position entertaining for 2 decades, you keep them. And then he said, that Roman Reigns is afraid of him. Baron Corbin comes out. Fans chanting, "You suck" to Baron Corbin. He apologizes to John Cena for interrupting. Baron Corbin's having a real hard time right now. He lost his crown. He lost his money. He lost his identity. His wife left him because he's got a groin injury and he can't, suki. He wants some help from John Cena. He wants to be in the next movie, the Suicide whatever that comes out Friday. He said he'll even be John Cena's stunt double. John Cena asks the fans, should we help him? Some fans actually cheered at it, mostly boos. And basically, again, Suicide Squad, he'd love to be in that movie. Well, it's already filmed. It's coming out Friday. Plug for Friday's movie he was giving everybody. And then I think he gives Cena, I don't know if it's $20 or whatever it is. He gives him almost nothing. He's like, that's all you got? You're a Hollywood star. You're a rich man. So John Cena says, oh, yeah, I got something else. And he gives him the attitude adjustment. So big pop. We go to Rey Mysterio versus Jimmy Uso. Before the match starts, Rey Mysterio's telling his son, you're still making rookie mistakes. This is after everything that has led up to him, including tag team championships. But anyway, Rey Mysterio has the match with Jimmy Uso. It's the repeat from last week. Dominic, which if you look at this photo, it almost looks like he's got a little Cactus Jack dressed, with I like the red flannel. It always reminds me of Mick Foley. But we get the same pin as last week. This time, Dominic pushing Rey so he can have the leverage for the win. So, when the Usos cheat the win, all the announcers talk about how terrible that is. But when the Mysterios do it, it's okay. It's all right. You could justify it. Fine. Blah, 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 blah. We got, and look, here's another thing. This is 2 weeks in a row that you did not have that many matches, but the live crowd is getting a post-match after the cameras are rolling. They probably got another 6-man tag match tonight, involving Cena and Reigns. I don't know. I haven't checked dark matches that took place tonight yet. But after the Mysterio Jimmy Uso match, we had the contract signing with Roman Reigns and Finn Balor. And, once again, Finn Balor just came back and he had a great match with Sami Zayn and defeated him. The confrontation with Finn Balor and Roman Reigns last week, we all thought was leading to a SmackDown match, not SummerSlam. So when I saw today that this was a contract signing for SummerSlam, I said, that makes 0 sense. John Cena, I don't need to say it for a third time tonight, but John Cena is going to be gone after SummerSlam. He's got to have the match with Roman Reigns. So I'm like, all right, let me see how it plays out on TV. Roman Reigns and Finn Balor are sitting down. Roman Reigns trying to insinuate that John Cena is disrespecting Finn Balor as if Finn Balor is not a worthy opponent for Roman Reigns. But basically, Roman Reigns says that he feels Finn Balor is a worthy opponent. But if Finn Balor signs the contract, Roman Reigns is going to make sure he's going to smash him and send him back to NXT. Finn Balor responds by saying that he'd be honored, privileged to go back to NXT as Universal Champion. Charlie, if you don't understand what missionary position is, Google it. Google it. This is a chat room. This is people type 1-sentence answers. Google it. So Finn Balor is about to sign the contract, and Baron Corbin comes out, attacks Finn Balor, throws him over the table, and right away you got people online. Finn Balor's back on SmackDown. He's already being buried. Let the fucking story play out. Finn Balor was never going to be the opponent for Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. How these people don't understand that, it doesn't make. And they actually thought Corbin versus Balor was going to be the SummerSlam match instead. Oh my God, look what they just did to Balor. He went from a SummerSlam match for the Universal title to Baron Corbin. No, he didn't. This was a swerve. WWE swerves. So Corbin takes out Balor. Corbin picks up the contract and he's about to sign it. And yes, it did not make sense. Finn Balor's name is on the contract. You got Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce standing there like Angie, the potted plant, like a pair of potted plants, that even though it's got Finn Balor's name on it, if someone else signs it, it's still okay. Whatever. You know, obviously, you know, in the end, nobody gives a shit. They're just happy we're still getting Cena versus Roman Reigns. Yeah, but. No, this is fucking pro wrestling. You can tweak the storylines a little bit. Nobody's going to turn around and say, I'm never going to watch AEW again because they went against their storyline. I'm never going to watch SmackDown again because Finn Balor's name is on the contract, and that's just not right. So Corbin is about to sign the contract. Cena comes running down, and he lays out Corbin. Cena looks at the contract. Crowd is going nuts, and Cena signs his name. So Cena's name is on the contract. We get a backstage segment afterwards. Paul Heyman going to Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce, which common sense. How could this even be legal? Finn Balor's name is on the contract. You can't actually have this match. Oh, yes, we can. Because this is pro wrestling. And this is not legal law. They didn't say that, but I am. So they're allowing the match to stick. Again, Finn Balor was never supposed to be in the title picture. Came back and had one fucking match and beat Sami Zayn. Suddenly, he's buried. People just don't get it. And you know, what's funny is the people that said that tonight are the same people who are making fun of others claiming that Karrion Kross was buried. Explain that logic to me. Bianca Belair, she comes out. Somehow Kayla Braxton makes her blush. Oh, you've been champion for 100 days. You know, EST. Look, I'm not mocking her, but I'm just saying, like, this is basically the same thing as Raquel Gonzalez and others. I'm champion. Who's next? Is there anybody out there? Who's next? Carmella comes out. Bianca starts laughing because she's already beaten her a couple of times. Zelina Vega comes out, and she thinks that she's entitled to a shot. And Zelina Vega challenges Bianca Belair to a match. And Bianca Belair accepts just to have Carmella jump Bianca Belair from behind. We get a little beat down. Next thing you know, Sasha Banks' music hits. Sasha returns, chases them away. And that's when I wrote on Twitter, I said, here's hoping we get the tag match tonight and we go off the air with Sasha turning on Bianca. Do not wait a week or two. This feud needed to be rekindled. We've talked about it for a month. What we got tonight is exactly what we wanted and what we needed. So they announced later on the tag match, later on in the night, Carmella versus and Zelina teaming up against Bianca and Sasha Banks. Reggie, who suddenly lost his accent, is going to defend the 24/7 championship tonight. Somehow you can now be disqualified in a 24/7 title match, whatever. And we don't know who his opponent is. I was hoping for Nia Jax. I want to see Nia Jax versus Reggie. I don't know if they're going to end up doing that, but whatever. We don't know who his opponent is. Otis and Chad Gable come out. I don't know if that's Otis's hometown or Gable's. I don't remember, but I know it was for one. And, decent cheers. I think it's Otis's because they're all chanting for Otis. I think they wanted to see Otis versus Reggie for the 24/7 title. And is it Gable? Okay, Otis is Chad Gable. Okay, cool. But, yeah, that makes sense because Chad Gable tweeted earlier about, let's do this, hometown. So that does make sense. So we think we're getting Otis versus Reggie. Otis looking constipated, pissed off. I love Otis's current character, and I love that WWE waited until live fans returning to do this. Because if they would have done this 8 months ago, by now it would have been oversaturated, used and abused, and it wouldn't really mean much right now. We think we're getting Otis versus Reggie. Instead, Otis gets on the mic. It's not me, it's him. So Chad Gable takes on Reggie, and we get the dumb Matrix shit again, like a bad cartoon. Otis goes to punch over his head, under his head, flips upside down, flips this way, flips that way, just to have Otis nail Reggie, and Chad Gable is disqualified. 90-second match, garbage. Then after the match, Reggie is flipping everywhere. Flip this. It's not even funny. To me, I'd rather see R-Truth with the title again, running around the building and say, my God, you could be doing segments everywhere. And no, we'd rather just do a 90-second disqualification. Whatever. Big E, Cesaro, Shinsuke Nakamura with Rick Boogs. I don't think those are boos, everybody, by the way. I think those were boogs. They defeated Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode, and Apollo Crews. 6 minutes. Fun match. To me, rushed. Cesaro, if you notice, we talked about this a month ago. That, if you pay close attention, Cesaro's not doing as many swings like he used to. I think today he nailed 10. He had 10. I think he did it to Ziggler. But match was good while it lasted. Apollo Crews was going to go for the frog splash, but then Boogs with the guitar to distract Apollo Crews. General Aziz, Commander Aziz was going to go after Rick Boogs, but Cesaro hit him with an uppercut. And then Ziggler took out Cesaro with a super kick, so they're out of the match. Apollo Crews then attempts the frog splash again. Nakamura moved out of the way and hit the Kinshasa for the win. Seth Rollins comes out. A lot of recapping of what's been going on with him and Edge. The funny thing is, 11. Okay, I said 10. It was 11. My mistake. 11. I knew it was around there. I had my TV on low because I was trying to get some stuff together for the show. And I heard the chants. But I will tell you, when I first heard the chant, I was like, wait a minute. They're not chanting, "We want Reggie." I put the louder and I'm like, oh, duh, we want Becky. So the Becky chance of bleeding into SmackDown. And like I said, I know there's a lot of people online telling you that Becky Lynch is returning to SmackDown. To me, that makes absolutely no sense. Just because she's married to Seth Rollins doesn't mean she returns to SmackDown. She's got to return to Raw. I mean, that's a given. Down the line, the draft, you then want to shift things around, fine. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Sasha Banks gets drafted to Raw later on and maybe Becky gets drafted to SmackDown. I just personally feel you cannot keep Sasha and Becky on the same brand right now. Too one-sided. But they chanted, we want Becky. And basically, Seth Rollins' promo is simple. If I can't be Universal Champion, neither could Edge. That's it. They will have a match at SummerSlam. You really start looking at the advertised matches and the potential matches for SummerSlam. This is what I've been saying in April. This is WrestleMania. This is WrestleMania. This is a redo. Now, live fans back. You know, look, I'm not going to get into a COVID conversation today, although it's weird. You know, I pay attention to the analytics here on YouTube a little bit more. And for the last 2 weeks, when I broke into a COVID conversation, it was the highest segments on both shows. But I will repeat what I said before. You know, just be careful out there. Pro wrestling is not going back to Thunderdome. You will see a postponement here and there in wrestling because things aren't back fully 100%. Until this virus is out of here, which is going to take years, it's not going to be perfect. But people trying to tell you that AEW may have to go back to Daly's place and WWE go back to Thunderdome, that is garbage. And shame on anyone out there that's trying to push that paranoia. That's just terrible. It's just terrible. We have issues. It's not going away. April of last year, I told you, half this country doesn't believe in flu shots. What makes you think they're going to get a COVID shot? Especially when a lot of people hated Trump and they think Trump created the vaccine and they don't trust it. This is going to be around for years. Just be careful. Worry about yourself. Worry about your surroundings. Be careful. That's all you can do. I will never tell anyone out there, you have to get the vaccine. I respect everybody out there that doesn't. Just be careful. When you see 1,400 people died, you know, those, unfortunately, you know, a lot of them, they chose not to be vaccinated. And unfortunately, they were in a circumstance where they got sick and passed. And that sucks. But, you know, no virus is completely curable. And you could get the flu after getting a flu shot. That's the truth. You can get the flu after getting a flu shot. You know, I know people who got chicken pox, I think, more than once. You know, just because our bodies are not perfect. There is nothing that we are completely immune to. Shit happens. Especially if you're not in the greatest of health, you got secondary issues, you got to be so freaking careful. And there's a risk involved. So, main event. Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks. They defeat Zelina Vega and Carmella. Now, I should add, when Sasha came out to make the save for Bianca earlier, Sasha with the hugs, and Bianca, I think, I'm not trying to criticize Bianca, I think she overacted a little bit. Because we just saw them at the ESPYs. We just saw them at the same table. We just saw them posing together, smiling together, hugging. And when Sasha Banks hugged her, you know, like Bianca had this look on her face like, oh, okay, yeah, and yeah, it's nice to see you too. Yes, Sasha Banks was overdoing it a little bit, but Bianca Belair looked more like freaked out. Like if you're at an autograph signing and some goof out there, you know, tries to get a little bit too touchy, You know, like, hey, would you like to take a picture with me? Come here, Bianca. Come here. So they have the match. Sasha Banks wins with the bank statement. You got to see the Boo Birds tonight bitching of the treatment of Zelina Vega. They still don't get it. But when the match was over, I looked at the clock. It was 9:54 p.m. SmackDown usually goes off the air at 9:58, 9:59, around that time. They always go off a minute or two before. So when it was 9:54, they had 4 minutes still. So at that point, I said, okay, they're doing it tonight. Sure enough, celebration continues. A little bit too long in the ring, and Sasha with the bank statement on Bianca and attacking her, crowd booing Sasha Banks big time, which I got to be honest with you, is very refreshing to see. And I'm sure WWE is very, very happy with that, because Sasha Banks is one of the more beloved stars in WWE on the women's side. And there's always that concern that the fans would be more into Sasha Banks than Bianca. How many of you out there saw blogs and heard podcasts just a month or two ago shitting all over Bianca Belair? She's stale. Her runs kind of stinks. You know, who gives a shit about her with Carmella and this and that? I mean, and some people actually said, you know, the fans are going to turn on Bianca. I think they kind of miscalculated that one. Bianca Belair is very much over with the fans. So the fact that the fans turned that quickly on Sasha tonight makes this so much easier. Makes it so much easier. No, her boos were not 100%, Ben. Nobody gets 100% boos, but the majority of the reaction was boos from the crowd. That's exactly the way it needed to go down. Like we've been saying for a month, Sasha Banks needed to pick up where Bayley left off. Bayley left a huge void in the heel department. And Sasha Banks is now the number one heel on the women's side on SmackDown. And their WrestleMania match was awesome. So you know that they will deliver. And we go off the air with Sasha Banks' return, and the return and turn, as we call it. Pretty fun match, pretty fun episode of SmackDown. You look at the match detail, not as much wrestling as usual for a second week in a row, but the live fans get treated to extra wrestling before the show and after, so they go home happy. And for us at home, we had enough on TV that satisfies us for another week. And that is it. So with that said, everybody, I know this is kind of abrupt, but we're at an hour and 58 minutes, so I'm going to jet out of here. So if you are around on Monday, I would very much love it if you could hang out with Mish and I. We'll be reviewing Raw. We'll talk about some other news. We're going to pay a little tribute to ZZ Top because we had a passing in that group, and a few other things going down in the world of pro wrestling. So if you don't mind on the way out, I would appreciate it if you give the show a thumbs up. Post your comments in the comment section. Aaliyah over Indy Hartwell again. That was last week. And then we had Cena and Mysterio versus Reigns and the Usos again. So we got the same two dark matches in a row. I'm just surprised we didn't get Austin Theory. I guess he didn't work a dark match, but yeah, rest in peace, Dusty Hill. We'll talk about him on Monday. So everyone, much love. I am out of here exactly at the 2-hour mark. Post your comments. I will be responding to everybody over the weekend, and I will record the members-only Q&A. So if you want to become a member, it's not a money grab. You know, we charge pretty much, I think the minimum, I think it's like $1.99 or something. Then you get the emojis and everything else, and it does help with the expenses of the shows. But get a couple of perks there. I'll be updating that video also since we've added perks since we started that. But I thank you all for tuning in. Much love. Have a nice weekend. Stay safe. I catch you Monday night after Raw. Be well, everybody.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's alright. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.